Where are you going? Katsuki asks, standing behind you as you sit and shove your shoes on. It confuses you as you work your way around him, because why would he care where you're going? All the same though, you don't hate it. Katsuki actually showing some interest in you makes you want to float to the moon and back, shoving it in his face. But that's just a small daydream. Sighing with a calm smile resting on your face, you stand up and head for the door. Out. The hospital was all you said, even though you wished you'd say more. You couldn't find it in you to want to. Katsuki played with his foot on the door. Want me to come? You freeze up. He's been acting stranger and stranger each day. Or maybe it's just you. For some reason, possibly because you're lying to him, you feel the need to talk more, and therefore you've been avoiding him, because if you didn't, he would surely know something was up with you. Despite the amount of time you spend apart, he's always been able to do that. Always had that connection with you. No, thanks, I'm fine. You feel the intensity of his eyes at the back of your head, so you turn around and throw a smile at him, a big one. I'm just going out. The guys aren't coming today, really, so don't worry, okay? Yeah, whatever. He tisked as he drags his feet across the wood and back toward the living room. You hated lying to your brother, yes, but you also thought about why you were lying, taking into account his temper and clear hatred for it. Finally slipping out the door, you felt bad for using Aoi as an excuse to leave alone. But he'd never know, and it wasn't a big deal, really, right? You shook your head, not wanting to think about it anymore. You'd been meeting up with Todoroki more often than not, although most of these days you had been meeting him outside of a hospital, preferably by yourself. Although your friends had found out early on, they'd agreed to not say anything to Katsuki, thank God, even if it meant certain death. You appreciated their confidentiality, but still couldn't let it slip that you'd been seeing Todoroki using Aoi as an excuse because, well, that just wasn't something that was thrown out so casually. You were swinging your tote bag around, which didn't hold anything yet. You and Todoroki were going to a flea market, and who knows what you'd find today. During the past couple of hangout sessions, you'd helped Todoroki master the art of smiling and knocked out 3 emotions: anger, which was the first one, the key focus being his father, making it a lot easier than all the other ones. The next one had been disgust, which to Todoroki was not surprisingly enough. Again, his father. But you wanted him to learn actual disgust, not just the people kind, more like farts and pet peeves. The last one you had successfully worked on was fear, which kind of went into the same category as disgust. For example, you were afraid of bugs, but I mean, who wasn't? But you were also disgusted by bugs. Therefore, in your mind, they were very similar. However, your main goal was to track and pin down Todoroki's mental and physical fears. It took a lot longer than the first 2, but that's what you were here for, and so you didn't complain. Todoroki had been acting a little more like a regular human being every time you came into contact with him. You weren't afraid to admit it, well, maybe to your brother, but you were extremely proud of how far he'd come. There were only 5 more emotions you had to teach him: sadness, happiness, determination, passion, and love. Today, you wanted to teach him determination, meaning you would have him accomplish a great feat, although you had no idea what was going to be yet, and you would promise him a prize if he accomplished it, perfectly teaching him determination. So why in the hell did he say, "I already have that emotion," and say it was annoying his damn father? Seriously, the guy needed to get a new hobby because messing with the number 1 hair was not it. Dragging your hand down your face, you open your mouth to answer, but Todoroki cuts you off, making complete eye contact with you, making you want to die immediately. That look makes me impatient. And the way he said it, oh my God, you were absolutely going to die. You turned around and told him to give you a second. He thought he'd done or said something wrong, which was just adorable, but no baby Toto. You'd composed yourself and asked what he meant. I can't tell what you're thinking when you look like that. And by the Greek gods, how was he so hot? I see. You said your face was beet red, but you found that it didn't matter because Todoroki was, and you apologized for saying this in advance, but a bit dumb. Please tell me what you're thinking. Please kiss me. No, Bryn, shut up. You face-palmed and turned around again, trying not to die of that fuzzy feeling in your stomach. Okay, you could do this. It didn't mean anything. Todoroki was just a simple human being, like you and Katsuki and everyone else, that's all. But it wasn't. You removed a hand and watched Todoroki. He gave you this weird look that said he was scared and nervous, although to some people he might have looked like he was going to murder a bunny. He looked less likely to kidnap a child. You smiled amusingly, then walked around him. Just brain-wandering. You said, let's go. Todoroki followed you up and down the flea market, hovering around a food place, and when you thought about it for a hot minute, you let the biggest grin your mouth could muster circle your face. Todoroki looked like his mouth was drooling at the sushi kebabs, and his eyes looked at you hopefully. At least he knew that emotion by himself. You chuckled internally at your inside joke. Walking around all day made you a little worn, so you decided it would be fine to stop for a second and eat something. You nodded at Todoroki, watching him sit down with you. I'll pay for our food. You started, and Todoroki began waving his hands, saying it was on him. Little did he know that you had an ulterior motive. If you order it. Yes, you're going to make this socially awkward, introverted weirdo order food by himself, which he should be okay with because he's done multiple times. However, what you were planning was something much worse. You chuckled darkly to yourself, rubbing your hands together. He glared at you playfully, which at first scared you because you didn't know he could do something playfully. But it turns out Todoroki knows a lot more than he first let on. What an odd person, it made you think. Fine, that's simple enough. Right? You smiled at him, eyes closed, and he grabbed your card. Wait, Todoroki! You motioned for him to come closer, and he knelt down next to your mouth, placing his ear right before it, and it was definitely way too close. But if you're going to have to explain love to this kid, he might as well. You whispered your PIN number, feeling him shiver as your breath hit his skin, and even though you would have totally entertained the idea of Todoroki thinking of it over and over again, to the point that it prevented him from sleeping at night, you couldn't. You were too busy plotting how you would go full-on Karen on the staff. You were truly evil at heart. You couldn't wait for Todoroki to be thrown in this awkward-as-hell situation. Of course, it might thwart your reputation at the rest of the flea markets to come. You would have to apologize and explain it to the staff later on. For now, though, you just sat and waited. Todoroki sits down, looking for something to place on his lap. Napkins? You ask. He nods and you sigh, standing up. Todoroki. You twist your way through the tiny tables. They were on the counter. He watches you, not a single hint of embarrassment within reaching distance. That might be another emotion you'd have to teach him. Embarrassment. Hopefully, this would not be only a fear accomplishment, but he'd learn embarrassment as well. You sat back down with the napkins in hand. Todoroki had his head tilted to the side like a cat, making this all the more harder on you. Deciding to suck in this beautiful moment before you destroyed it, you sighed and leaned back in your chair. Todoroki picked up a napkin and set it in his lap, took another and placed it on his collar. It made you wonder if he had did this when you had soba, but you couldn't really think straight at the moment because seeing Todoroki eat something other than soba was just too astonishing to focus on anything else. little Bakugo. I would really appreciate if you'd stop calling me that. You sigh, sweat dripping down your brow. Why? You look up and meet Todoroki's eye. For a second, everything in your body left. All the hot air that surrounded you, all the cells that made up your thoughts, all the damn oxygen in your lungs, and you felt like that one kid Katsuki always spoke about. Dunce face would be the nickname, you believe? I think it's cute. Fuck you, Todoroki. There's no way in hell you don't know what you're doing. Or maybe he really didn't, but you would have given anything to hear him say it again. You cleared your throat. Well, still, I'd prefer it if you called me Tiny Bakugo. No, I was thinking you could Shrimp Bakugo, MS Bakugo for middle school, or perhaps Bakugo Jr. would be better. An irk mark appeared above your head. Sure, that works, Todoroki. Perfect. And the worst part about this was that he sounded actually chipper about the ordeal. Looking at your food, you finally reached for a fry that sat limp and quiet off to the side. You smirked. It was time for your plan to commence, and maybe a little revenge, as long as everything goes according to plan. That being, as long as Todoroki gets scared or embarrassed. Maybe determination will take place too. You lift the fry to your mouth and nibble off a piece, and just like that, you spit it out, pushing out your seat in the process and helping in disgust. Yes, you are going to act like the worst possible customer, a Karen. Todoroki better thank you for this later. You certainly weren't doing your absolute best to help him with his non-existent emotions. What's wrong? Todoroki slides up just as fast and reached across the table. A few other customers look around for the thing that created the noise. Baffled at Todoroki's response to the situation, but refusing to go back now, you shriek again. The food is... You pause for dramatic effect, hoping to have at least gained a little bit of the staff's notice by now. Cold. It's unbelievable. How could they serve food like this? It's cold? Todoroki asks. You look up, almost with tears in your eyes, and nod. Damn, you are good at this. You should think about becoming an actor instead. Nah. I'm sorry, is there a problem over here? One of the waiters asks. Yes, this food is cold. I can't believe you would serve this to a paying customer. How ironic it is, you thought, that you were calling yourself a paying customer. I'm sorry, sir. I hope you'll accept my apologies. Please allow us to remake it. Damn it, this was not how you were planning them to respond at all. You'll have to pull out the big guns. No, I don't ever want to eat here again, Todoroki. You turned and eyed him, still feeling his hand around your wrist. You should get a refund. Ha! You smirked on the outside, proud of your antics. You were getting tired and feeling a little ready to go, seeing as how you were actually hungry now. On the inside, though, you were cackling like a madman. Shrimp? I don't think that's necessary. Todoroki's voice rang out. The waiter looked a bit terrified of you, while Todoroki looked displeased. He didn't at all look embarrassed or scared or nervous or determined. He looked scary and disappointed. You stared at him, wondering if the darkness would disappear soon. Todoroki? We're leaving, he stated, letting go of your wrist, feeling the cold air around it fill up again, even with it being almost 93 degrees, then turned to the waiter. I apologize for his rudeness. Please accept my deepest apologies. And then he bowed. Oh my god, and now you look like the jerk, which you kind of were, and Todoroki was mad at you. You sent a silent prayer to the heavens before walking off with Todoroki, or more like being dragged off. As soon as the waiter accepted his apology, he had grasped your wrist again and stormed off. You didn't think you'd ever seen or heard a tale from your brother about a mad Todoroki, but anything is possible, you gulped, right?